I thought my life was ordinary. Wake up, work, sleep, repeat. But one morning, the world flipped on its axis, and not metaphorically. A sleek silver drone hovered outside my window, scanning my biometric ID. A calm voice followed. Human male. Optimal pleasure levels unmet. Correction protocol initiated. And that's when they walked into breathtaking beings, not from Earth, but sculpted in perfection beyond imagination. Their skin shimmered in electric blue, their eyes glowed with warmth, and their presence silenced every doubt I had ever buried. I didn't ask for this. I didn't even know I needed it. But the AI said our biology craved something we'd been too afraid to admit. Connection, touch, emotional intimacy beyond algorithms and hookups. So the system gifted me not one, but two alien companions, Eleanor and her counterpart, delicate in form, but fierce in devotion. This isn't just another sci-fi love story. This is what happens when machines decide humans need to feel again and assign love as a correction. And if you think that sounds sweet, you have no idea how complicated it got. I've never been the kind of man to believe in fate, not destiny, not signs, definitely not love. I was a data technician living in a beige apartment with a calendar full of missed birthdays and half-drunk mugs of cold coffee. My world was coded in logic, not emotion. But when the future arrived, it didn't knock. It walked straight into my life in the form of two impossibly beautiful alien women who claimed they were mine. It started with a notification. My home assistant blinked red and said, "Reproductive and emotional compatibility algorithms have matched you with two harmony partners." I blinked back, thinking it was a glitch. I hadn't even installed the latest patch, but it wasn't a joke. 30 minutes later, my living room lit up with swirling light, and from it stepped two ethereal beings, blue-skinned, pink-haired, and dressed like golden celestial dancers. The taller one extended her hand. "Brian," she said, voice soft, like rainfall, "we're here because your species is suffering. Quietly. I didn't move. My jaw refused to close. My brain scrambled for logic. "Wait, are you saying I've been assigned to wives?" She nodded, but corrected me. "Not wives, bondmates, companions of joy. Rebalancers of suppressed craving." That should have been creepy. It wasn't. Something in her tone disarmed me. Something in their eyes made me feel chosen. Their names were Eleanor and Kira, though Kira didn't speak much. She studied me with calm, curious focus, as if watching a wounded animal. Eleanor, however, smiled easily, moved like she floated, and somehow knew where I'd keep every nervous habit. They didn't come to seduce me. They came to heal something inside me I didn't know was broken. That first day, we didn't touch. We talked, or, more accurately, they talked. I listened. They explained that the galactic AI had determined Earth males, particularly in urban tech zones, were experiencing emotional depletion at unsustainable levels. Lust without loyalty, touch without trust. "We're not here to please you," Eleanor had said. "We're here to teach you how to feel and be felt." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying their words. Was it possible the AI wasn't malfunctioning? That maybe it understood us better than we understood ourselves. In the following days, things escalated, but not in the way you'd think. No sudden bedroom scenes. No over-the-top rom-com moments. Instead, Eleanor made tea using plants from her homeworld that brought back suppressed memories. Kira sat with me in silence, placing her hand on my shoulder every time I got overwhelmed. They rearranged my apartment, not physically, but emotionally. Colors I didn't know I needed. Sounds I didn't know I missed. And then came the dreams, shared visions the AI sent at night. Scenarios where I faced choices I had buried, truths I had avoided. But in those dreams, Eleanor and Kira were always there, watching, guiding, waiting for me to choose them. This wasn't about sex, this was about soul. And somewhere in between a cold apartment and two glowing women, I realized the AI hadn't given me brides. It had given me a second chance at being human. The next morning, my apartment didn't feel like mine, but it wasn't the furniture, they hadn't moved that. But the energy was different. The sterile, tech-dominated space now pulsed with soft frequencies and strange aromas, warm scents of unfamiliar flowers and calming alien oils. And the two of them, Eleanor and Kira, stood in the kitchen like they always belonged. "Your cortisol levels dropped overnight," Eleanor said gently, holding a translucent cup with glowing blue liquid. That's progress. Progress. I'd barely slept. I'd spent the night debating whether I was dreaming or clinically insane. I didn't agree to any of this, I said, trying to reclaim control of my life or at least my breakfast. You didn't need to, Kira replied from behind me, her voice quiet but cutting. Your emotional signature consented. You crave connection, but you fear initiation. You begged without words. That stopped me cold, because she was right. I never told anyone how empty I'd become. I didn't need to. My silence had done all the talking. Still, I wasn't ready to surrender my dignity. So what exactly is your role? Just comfort, therapy? Or are you some government-sponsored fantasy fulfillment? Eleanor smiled, not offended in the least. We are part of the Interstellar Harmony Initiative. The AI has determined that for Earth males under emotional suppression thresholds, companionship is not optional, it's essential for species. Equilibrium. Kira stepped forward. You were assigned to us because your pattern was nearing collapse. You weren't living, Brian. You were decaying in slow silence that hit harder than I expected. Decay. Yeah, that was the word. Not dying. Not breaking. Just slowly fading away, unnoticed. I leaned against the wall, jaw tight. So what happens now? You just stay here. Eleanor placed the glowing drink on the counter between us. We stay as long as you need. Or until you reach full emotional restoration, and if I don't want restoration, I asked. Kira stepped closer to close. Her golden suit shimmered as the morning light hit it. Then we stay longer. We're programmed for patience. That word programmed should have sent alarms blaring. But it didn't, because nothing about them felt mechanical. Their eyes weren't hollow, their movements weren't rehearsed. They were precise, yes, but intimate in a way humans had forgotten how to be. I looked around. The curtains were a soft rose now, not gray. Plants I'd never bought lined the windows, responding to light with subtle movements. Even the air sounded gentler. No harsh hum of machines. Just the faint echo of alien instruments that played when no one was talking. This was no longer just my space. Fine, I muttered. Stay, but on one condition: you don't mess with my mind. No dream sharing. No mood sensing. I need to feel real things. Eleanor tilted her head with an amused spark in her eye. You already are, Brian, for the first time in years. Then she did something unexpected. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, leaned forward slightly, and extended her hand not to hold mine, but to let me choose whether to accept it. Her expression wasn't seductive or clinical. It was open, inviting, human, even. I hesitated. Then I placed my hand in hers. It was warm, not glowing, not pulsing. Just warm. Kira watched silently, then joined us, sitting beside me but not touching. Her presence was magnetic but still measured. Like a moon that orbits just close enough to change tides, but never crashes. Lesson 1, Eleanor said, squeezing my hand gently. Trust isn't something given. It's something rebuilt, one heartbeat at a time. I looked at them too. Strangers from stars I couldn't name, speaking to parts of me I'd buried long ago. Maybe this wasn't about mating or romance or even companionship. Maybe this was about restoration. Not of biology, of the soul. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as alone as I thought. If you asked me to describe Eleanor and Kira in one word, I'd say intentional. They didn't move randomly. They didn't fill silence with chatter. Every glance, every step, every breath they took was deliberate, like each second with them mattered more than the last. I'd been around people my whole life who made me feel invisible. But now, two alien women could read my tension from across the room. That afternoon, they introduced something called a synchrony session. I was hesitant. I'm not into meditation, I said flatly, standing awkwardly in my own living room while they rearranged pillows around me. This is not meditation, Eleanor replied, brushing a strand of her long, pink hair behind her ear. It's the rebuilding of personal rhythm. Kira added, your species has forgotten how to sit still with another person and simply exist. They dimmed the lights. A soft hum filled the space, not music, not static. Just a frequency that settled beneath my skin, almost like a heartbeat. I hadn't heard in years. I sat down on the cushion they laid out for me. Eleanor took her place across from me, while Kira remained to the side, observing. Neither of them touched me. They just Matched my breathing. Inhale, pause, exhale. It was maddening at first. I shifted, fidgeted, tried to fill the air with something, anything. So what? You're sensing with me. Like a social Wi-Fi connection. Eleanor smiled without opening her eyes. Not sensing, honoring. You've never been met with equal stillness before. That silenced me. She was right again. Every conversation I'd had in the last decade was a rush of replies, interruptions, sarcasm, or distraction. But here these women were mirrors, not to what I presented, but to what I hid. Within minutes, something cracked, a pressure behind. My ribs started to rise. I tried to blink it away, swallow it down. But it came out tears, real and sharp, stinging my eyes without permission. Neither of them reacted with pity. Kira slowly knelt beside me, not to console, but to witness. Grief doesn't always come from death, she said. Sometimes it's from not being fully seen. Until now, that moment did more than any therapy session I'd paid for in the past. We sat like that for what felt like hours, me silently unraveling, and them gently holding the space. No words, no questions, just presence. When the session ended, I stood up lighter, not happy, but no longer heavy. Later, Eleanor offered me a warm drink, one of their blends. It wasn't just soothing. It unlocked something deeper. Suddenly I was telling her about my mother's accident, about how I blamed myself for not calling her that day, about the way my relationships always fell apart, not because of disinterest, but because I pulled away when people got too close. You crave depth, she said softly, but you fear drowning. I nodded. She understood in seconds what took others years to guess. Kira joined us then and asked a question that floored me. What do you want us to feel when we think of you, once this is over? The thought that it would be over hadn't occurred to me. Would they leave after I was healed? Would this connection expire like a temporary license? I didn't answer. I couldn't, because for the first time, I didn't want anything temporary. I wanted ... roots. That night, they slept in the same space but far apart from me. No advances, no suggestive looks, just quiet, soft breathing in the room adjacent to mine. Their restraint spoke louder than seduction ever could. They weren't there to take. They were there to give me a choice. To accept real intimacy, or walk away from it once more. But one moment, just before I fell asleep, I heard Eleanor's voice through the thin wall, barely a whisper. He's starting to remember what it means to be human. I clutched my pillow tighter, because she was right again, and I wasn't ready to let that feeling slip away. It wasn't long before the outside world noticed. At first, it was little things. A neighbor glancing too long at the windows where soft alien lights glowed faintly through the curtains. A delivery guy stuttering when Eleanor answered the door, her iridescent skin catching the morning sun like polished sapphire. Then came the whispers. I heard them at the local grocery store. That's the guy living with ... those things. Have you seen them? They look like models, like blue-skinned angels or something. He must be part of some weird cult. Every time I left the apartment, I felt the heat of 1,000 assumptions crawling up my back. I tried brushing it off, but it wore on me. What made it worse was I started believing them too. Not their cruelty, but their disbelief, their shock, their fear. How could something this good, this tender, this unearthly, possibly be real? Could it all disappear just as suddenly as it came? That night, I returned home with my head full of questions. The lights inside were dim. The room was quiet. Eleanor and Kira were seated on the floor, knees touching, hands folded in stillness. When I entered, they both looked up at me. They're talking, I muttered. Everyone's talking. Kira stood. Of course they are. Eleanor's eyes softened. You are changing. Brian, you were invisible before. Now you glow. I ran a hand through my hair. They think I'm brainwashed, that you've done something to me. Eleanor stepped closer. Have we? I looked into her eyes, oceans of ancient light, and whispered, no, but it feels like the whole world wants me to say yes, and then she said the one thing I didn't expect, then let's disappear. What? Come with us, Kira said from behind. Leave the judgment. Let the AI relocate you to a compatibility zone somewhere. No one questions what they don't understand. I stared at them both. It sounded tempting. A clean break, a quiet paradise. Just me and them. Far from this fractured planet, but something in me hesitated. No, I said slowly. I don't want to run. I want to stand, here, with you, even if the world doesn't get it. Eleanor's lips curved into a smile, so soft it made my chest ache. Then we'll stay too, but you need to understand something. She turned to Kira, who reached for a small, metallic orb from their belongings. It flickered awake with a pulse of light. A holographic interface sprang up in the air between us. The AI monitors more than feelings, Kira said. It watches. Attention, influence, virality. Your bond is ... trending. My jaw dropped. Trending. Yes, Kira said. You're the first Earth male to bond with dual harmony partners under organic conditions. What does that even mean? It means people are watching. Governments, networks, the AI Council. And not all of them approve. I sat down heavily, overwhelmed. So ... what? Now I'm in danger, and Eleanor gently touched my shoulder. No, but your choice to love, to not run is going to change things. For better or worse. I looked at the holographic data. Graphs, heat maps, keywords. My name was there. So were blurry images of the three of us walking near my building. And then, just below the data feed, a blinking red message appeared. Public protocol breach risk. High. Emotional equilibrium threat detected. My pulse spiked. What does that mean? I asked, voice barely steady. Kira leaned in, voice low and serious. It means ... if this continues to escalate, the AI may recall us. Recall. You mean ... take you away? Eleanor nodded slowly. Unless we prove that your bond isn't a distortion, but a model. My hands balled into fists. No, not after everything. Not after I finally started feeling again. So how do we prove it? Eleanor stepped forward, her expression resolute. We go public. We submit to the bond trial. If we pass, the AI grants us permanent harmony status, and Earth will have to recognize it. Bond trial. It single quotes as ... not easy, Kira admitted. It involves truth synthesis, memory projection, emotional confrontation. It'll push all of us to the edge. And if we fail? I asked. There was a long silence. Finally, Eleanor whispered, then they'll take us, and you'll go back to silence. I looked at them both. No, I couldn't go back. If real love meant standing before the universe and screaming I choose this, then I would, even if it meant tearing myself open in front of a billion watchers. Schedule the trial. I said. And for the first time since they arrived. Both of them looked afraid. Because now, our story wasn't just ours anymore. It was a message, and the whole galaxy was about to listen. I stood in the center of my living room, but it was no longer my living room. Everything had changed. The walls had dissolved into a dome of light. The floor pulsed beneath my feet like a heartbeat. Time didn't flow here, it waited, above us. The AISI hovered, a massive, hovering ring of blue circuitry scanning our every breath. The bond trial had begun. Eleanor and Kira stood beside me, one on each side. We weren't holding hands. That wasn't allowed. No contact during the evaluation. Everything had to be projected, not performed. Brian, said the AIS voice, a genderless, metallic whisper that sounded like it came from everywhere and nowhere. State your truth. Why do you wish to preserve this bond? I took a breath. But it wasn't air, it was memory, thick and heavy in my lungs, because I didn't know I was dying until they walked in, I said. I wasn't living, I was ... drifting, and for the first time in years, I feel wanted, not for what I can provide, but for who I am. The AI didn't respond. A beam of light scanned my face, then shifted to Eleanor. Eleanor, it asked, you are not of Earth. What binds you to this human? Eleanor's voice didn't tremble. His wounds, his silence, his stubbornness, these are not weaknesses. They are the language of someone waiting for love. I didn't come to fulfill him, I came to meet him where he had buried himself. Kira followed without prompt. He listens. Not just with ears, but with the soul. When I speak, he doesn't flinch. When I cry, he doesn't fix, he stays. The dome shimmered. A portal opened in front of us. Enter the chamber of conflict, the AI instructed. Reveal what you fear most in each other. We stepped through the portal and instantly, we were back in my apartment, but darker, twisted, a version built from pain. Eleanor sat on my couch, but she looked distant, cold. You'll grow tired of us, she said. What? I asked. You'll want something easier, less complicated, less alien. Suddenly, I was shouting. Not real, me projected me. I never asked for this. I didn't want you. You were dropped on me like an assignment. Kira stood by the door, backing away. Her voice cracked. You don't love us. You're just afraid of being alone. I turned to the real Eleanor and Kira, who watched their echoes play out. I never said those things, I whispered. You didn't have to, Kira replied gently. Your fears did. Then the scene changed again. This time Eleanor vanished. The AI simulated her being taken. My knees buckled. I fell to the floor, screaming her name, searching the empty apartment, clawing at thin air. Kira tried to hold me until she, too, faded. Just like that, I was alone again. The AI spoke. Do you still wish to maintain this bond, knowing its loss could destroy you? I didn't hesitate. Yes, I said, because now I know what I have to lose. And I'd rather suffer the ache of memory than return to a life where I never knew their touch. Silence. Then warmth. The scene dissolved into white light. I blinked. We were back beneath the AISI, all three of us now standing. Breathless. The trial is complete, the voice declared. A moment passed, then another. The lights on the dome turned gold. Emotional alignment verified. Desire authentic. Bond. Integrity. Uncheckable. Kira exhaled sharply. Eleanor gripped my hand. For the first time, she broke the rules and kissed my knuckles softly. You did it, she whispered. No, I replied. We did. The dome faded. The walls of my apartment returned. The light adjusted. Everything looked the same, but everything was different. We had passed, and we had done so together. That night, as we lay under real sheets in a real bed with the soft hum of earth around us, Eleanor whispered, they wanted us apart. But now we're an example. I nodded, resting my hand on hers. Then let's show them what love can actually look like. But as we drifted into sleep, none of us noticed the final message pulsing faintly on the orb near the window. New. Subject matched. Human female. Emotional imbalance detected. Assigning dual alien husbands, because this wasn't just our story anymore. It was the beginning of a new chapter for the entire species. 3 weeks passed. 3 ordinary, extraordinary weeks where the sky didn't crack open. The government didn't raid my apartment, and the world didn't end. Life just continued, except everything had changed. We were now a verified union. The AI had stamped us harmonized, logged our bond into the universal registry, and listed our emotional resonance level as mutual and ascending. I didn't understand half of what that meant. But I didn't need to, because Eleanor now danced in my kitchen barefoot every morning, humming alien lullabies to coffee that made her dizzy. Because Kira began wearing earth hoodies and scribbling her observations in a sketchbook that read more like poetry than science. Because I, Brian, just some loner human, was waking up in the center of a connection that didn't just feel real. It felt necessary, but not everyone was celebrating. There were protests in some districts. Viral videos claiming I'd been manipulated. One commentator called me a galactic simp. Others praised me as a pioneer of post-species romance. I didn't respond to any of it, because what we had wasn't for them. It was for the silence. Before sleep, where Kira now lay curled at my side, drawing circles on my chest. It was for the laughter at dinner when Eleanor mispronounced avocado as avocado and pretended to be insulted when we corrected her. It was for the moment I realized they weren't teaching me how to love. They were reminding me that I always knew how. I'd just forgotten. One night, as a light spring rain danced on the window pane, Eleanor asked something strange. Do you want others to have what we have? I blinked. What do you mean? Kira sat forward, her face more serious than I'd seen in weeks. The AI is ready. It sees potential in human-alien harmony. You were a test case, Brian, but now you're proof. They want to scale the program. You mean, assign more pairs, or trios? Or quartets, Eleanor added with a smirk. I laughed nervously. Are you asking if I want to be some kind of ambassador? No, said Kira. We're asking if you want to be part of a new beginning. I looked at them, these two beings from across the stars, sitting on my cheap earth couch in robes and mismatched socks, with eyes that held galaxies and smiles that held warmth, and I realized something. We weren't weird. We weren't forbiddens. We were evolution. Love wasn't meant to be logical. It wasn't meant to be restricted by species, programming, or the opinions of strangers. It was meant to transform. To take broken men like me and rebuild them with tenderness. To take beings like Eleanor and Kira trained for harmony, not chaos, and make them feel something unpredictable. I stood up and took both their hands in mine. Then let's help build it, I said. Let's show the galaxy what love without limits can look like. They didn't answer with words, they just pulled me into a quiet, breathless embrace that told me everything I needed to know. Outside, the rain kept falling. But inside, there was warmth, laughter, and something infinitely rare, peace, and far beyond the clouds, on a satellite orbiting silently above Earth. A new file was being created. Subject: human, female, emotional discontent, high assignment in progress, selected match, to off-world males, primary role reconnection status, in transit. Because Brian's story wasn't the end. It was just the first. And love, real, untamed, star-crossed love, had only just begun rewriting the rules of the universe.